If anybody recommends you this movie out of the goodness of their heart, there is no good in their heart. It's bad. I don't think they could realistically charge people to watch this movie. It would be a crime. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ben. If you haven't been here before, this is my food channel where I do mukbangs, food reviews, and food challenges. And today I'm back with another mukbang, specifically another bad movie review, because that's mainly what I do here with the mukbangs and it's my favorite thing to do. And today, the spread looks very small, but I'm actually trying out the new Wendy's, I believe it's called the jalapeno popper sandwich or something like that. It's basically just jalapenos on their sandwiches. I've done it with the chicken. I got the spicy chicken specifically. And then on the side, I have some very sad looking, I think these are the brew pub fries or the pub fries. It's just got like cheese and then like a sad amount of bacon over here on the side. I don't want to tip it because like it's not really like stuck in the cheese, so it'll just fall out. Then I've got a very quickly melting chocolate frosty here. And then I got a Sprite down on the side as my drink instead of water today. And so today's bad movie. You know, actually, I'm gonna test this. This bad movie's got to be the bad movie of bad movies I've ever seen and have ever done a video on. But I'm just gonna go ahead and test this sandwich real quick. I was excited, but now that I see it, I feel like I'm gonna be underwhelmed. But it's okay. Okay. It's not all that bad, but the bacon needs to be crispier. I definitely bit this piece of bacon that had some like pull to it, and that's not really what I want my bacon. But, you know, taste-wise, guys, that's not all that bad. Not all that bad at all. Right, tastes like Sprite, if not slightly flat. Not flat, but if not slightly. Yeah, I think if you like jalapenos, it's also got bacon on it. That's a good way to go if you like jalapenos and that kind of spice. I don't know if it's going to be less spicy with the spicy chicken or not. I've actually never even had any of their sandwiches just with the spicy chicken, so I don't even know that the spicy chicken's that chicken, but you can very well taste the jalapeno. These are just very sad looking fries. I should have like maybe brought a condiment to eat this with, but what are you going to do, right? I know, okay, so I know it's a thing to dip your, I should have just gotten regular fries then. Dip your fries in Frosties. I don't know if you guys have ever done that. You guys should like comment down below if you have, or, that's so weird. Or if you're team chocolate or team vanilla. I personally kind of feel like I like them both the same. Very hard for me to decide. I just know I like them over strawberry vanilla. Strawberry ice cream. In Neapolitan, I hate the strawberry. But I like them both, but I feel like if I had to choose, maybe I'd choose vanilla. Not sure. But we're gonna jump into the bad movie, and what happened was I needed to watch a bad movie, and I kind of had no idea what to watch. I was stressed with school and everything, and so I asked my friends, if you guys have any bad movie recommendations, please let me know because I'd love to watch them. And my friend Abigail, who, if you guys have watched my videos before, we did the corn mukbang in celebration of her birthday because she just loves corn and corn products. I'll link it down below. She was like, have you ever heard of Birdemic? And somehow, as someone who loves terrible movies and has even watched a few movie reviews for just like classically known terrible movies, I had somehow just never heard of it. And we were all in Discord and she was like, okay, I'm gonna pull up the trailer and we're gonna watch it. And honestly, it was bad. It was really bad. Like, I couldn't believe this was a real thing. So of course I was like, wow.
I need to watch this.
And let me tell you guys, if anybody you know, if anybody recommends you this movie out of the goodness of their heart, there is no good in their heart. It's different in my case because I asked specifically for a bad movie, but if anybody's ever like, hey, you should watch Birdemic, it's great, get rid of them. You don't need them in your lives because they're lying to you. But I mean, on the flip side, if, you know, quarantine's over and you have a bunch of people over and you're just not used to having people over and you're feeling burnt out and you really want them to go home, but they're still there, just put on Birdemic. Suddenly, I promise you, they will find excuses and reasons to leave your house. Unless everybody's there for a fun laugh. It really just depends on the overall mood and the people you're with, but that's how bad it is. It is veritably the worst movie I have ever laid my eyes upon, and I have seen some pretty bad movies, guys. I did Car Road to Revenge on here. But jumping into the movie, it was made in 2010, so it's not even like it's a very old movie, and it's a romantic horror. I'm not even gonna get into like the people in it. You're not gonna know any of the actors. I certainly didn't, and it was a pretty low budget film. I believe I saw the budget was $10,000. It was self-produced, and it's well known for how terrible the quality is, how terrible the acting is, the terrible CGI of the birds. It is called Birdemic. I believe Birdemic Shock and Terror specifically. And it's about birds going crazy and a random love story. So, oh gosh, where to start? Even just the opening's so bad. Like, it's got it for some reason it can't go without music in any of the scenes. But the music itself is fine. Could probably be used in like other movies or video games or something, but just where they put this music, it just wasn't right. And then with the quality, I remember it opened and I thought this movie was older because I was like, oh, this is odd, because like the quality of the shot and just the music and it's not. We have our main character driving on the road and it's very clear that whoever shot this from either the passenger seat or the back seat, but like the shot is so bad. It looked like if I tried to do this and I went and I sat in the seat of a car, it's like all tilted. You're looking at the road like barely. It's like if you slouched down really low in your seat and tried to see out like the windshield. Like the shots, that's actually the shot they use for like this guy driving. And then like the name of the movie comes on the screen. It looks like the font I use in these videos. Looks like they use Arial or something. I don't know a lot about fonts, but it looks like they use like the Arial font or something really close to it. It just pops up on screen in bold white, and then like all like the produced by actors stuff, like it's all in that font. Like it looks so bad, and I was like, oh god, I'm really in for this ride. Like all the shots are just so bad. You could tell that the budget was $10,000. It's great. So I was like, oh boy, I hadn't even gotten to any acting, and I was like, wow, I really got myself in this one. And I'm just getting a spoon. Yeah, so our main character, Rod, his name's Rod. He gets out of his car and he begins walking, and they put sound over his footsteps when he's walking, so it sounds like he's like crunching on stuff as he's walking. I was like, what? And he walks so stiffly, like he's like acutely aware that he's being filmed. He's like walking it's so strange. Like nobody walks the way this man walks into this restaurant. And then I get our first bit of dialogue, and it's so bad. It's like cut to Rod asking for something with very poor acting, cut to waitress, and like the cuts are so bad, and the lines are delivered so awkwardly, and whatever. So he's sitting in the restaurant and he sees this girl sitting on her own, and she gets up and she leaves, and he like kind of like turns to watch her as she leaves, and it just focuses on him doing that. Like for a long time, there's a lot of shots in this movie that do that, where it's just they focus on the scene, that specific shot, for just way too long. There's too many seconds dedicated to whatever scene they're showing you. And he goes after her, and it turns out they went to the same high school or something. And I think she's a model. Yeah, she's a model. And her name is... I don't remember her name. Oh god. Yeah. That's how unremarkable this movie was. But we're gonna call her Blonde Girl. Blonde Girl is a model, and they exchange numbers, and that's that. Next, I believe we get, because the whole beginning is dedicated to the romance part, and the whole end's the horror part. Like, it's not like they start it with like a little bit of the romance and then like weave it through. No, it's just like the whole first half of the movie is the romance part, and the whole end half is the horror part. So you're not going to get any of the horror part in the beginning of this. So just in case you were waiting for that to be put in anywhere, it's not. So then we get him going to work. He like works in sales for this company, and it's very clear again that this is made with $10,000 because all the shots are like they set a camera up somewhere and then like things just walk by, like there's no like moving with it or anything. Like, it's very strange, and also some of the angles are really weird. And he makes a sale, and the acting again is like the worst thing ever. Like, he's like, "Oh yeah, baby," and he yells, and his friend comes out of nowhere, and it's not good. We see Blonde Girl. She gets a modeling gig for Victoria's Secret because we see her at one of her shoots, and there's just, yeah, so there, yeah, I'm not even gonna comment on that. I'll just flash it up on screen. Yeah, so anyway, she gets a modeling gig with, of course, Victoria's Secret. Like, this movie couldn't think of anything else. They couldn't make up their own modeling company or anything. They straight up went with like just like Victoria's Secret. I believe Rod calls her, and they have the most stale conversation in their cars about their days. Like truly, if I was having this conversation with anyone over text or otherwise, I would be like, yeah, I'm either ghosting them or I'm getting ghosted, because there is no way somebody's trying to like talk to me or get at me or anyway. And we have a conversation like this, and I'm like, yeah, I'll meet you for lunch, but yeah, she decides she's gonna meet him for lunch, and I was like, sparks flying in this dry ass. How was your day? It was good. And then like which is like I guess fine, but then they're on the phone, and it just sounds so like, if I like, it's one thing if it's through text. You can't do so much through text emotion wise, but they're on the phone. If I was ever talking to someone on the phone, which I wouldn't, leading up to like I barely know them, they want to take me to lunch, but if it ever sounded like that, I'm finding a way out of lunch. But it's okay anyway, it works out. She agrees. They're gonna go have a bland little lunch date, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch the most awkward scene in oh god. So weird to me when Frosties aren't like just super thick. So this is kind of strange. I don't think I've ever had like a super melty Frosty. I'm so used to like, you know, how thick they are. I remember growing up, I think the first time I had a Frosty, I didn't realize they were known for being like that thick. And I tried to drink it with a straw, and it was just purely impossible. So trick your kids. Never had a Frosty? Give them a Frosty and hand them a straw. See how long it takes them to give up. Fun way to pass the time. Maybe, I don't know, I don't have kids. But it sounds fun to me. So then after the date's like set, we cut to him playing basketball with his like coworker who's also like his best friend. And the best friend, they're kind of like talking about the date, and the best friend is like slotted as kind of like the gross guy who's all about sex and getting chicks, and you know, our main character Rod's like the good guy who's different. He's like, you know, is sex all you ever think about? Stuff like that. It was, I don't even care if Rod's a good guy or not, because I don't care. Like, they tried, I guess. So then we get a shot of Rod at home, and I think this is the second time we actually see there's a news report on the TV about like natural disasters and just like the environment and things going wrong in the world of that nature. And to be completely honest, I don't remember if we see this newscaster again, if there's a third time, or if it's just 2 times. But I am pretty positive that the newscaster that we see for a blip of a moment, 1, 2, maybe 3 times, is the best actor in this entire thing. Like, she you know, I think she did the best. Her voice, her tone, the way she was reading off the news, Best actress. Give her the Grammy. Grammy, right? Grammy's what they do for the Oscars. The Oscars? Actors? Is it no. Oscars? Give her the award. It's yours, honey. She was just perfect. Put her on the big screen. She was the best one of them. Gosh. And then some guy comes to his house, door-to-door salesman. Or no, actually, I don't. Maybe they had called. Don't quote me on that. Either way, to talk to him about a solar panel. And he's going to get solar panels installed on his roof. When he's getting his roof and everything looked at for where they're going to place it, God, there's just so many unnecessary shots. It's like, we're going to place it there. Cut, just staring at the roof. The cuts are so bad, and honestly, like, they, like, fade things in and out, almost like a PowerPoint slide. Like, the effects that you do for your PowerPoint slides when you're at school. Yeah, they for real use those effects in the movie. Like, you could have told me a high schooler made this, and I'd have been like, yeah, you're right, a high schooler made this. And maybe even would have had a little respect. Maybe. But no, this is a real deal movie that someone made, so. And the guy's like, it's $20,000, and Rod's like, I think that's a little, can't you work with me, buddy? Like, lower the price a bit, and the guy's like, okay, for you, $19,000, and then Rod just shakes on it. I was like, he only cut it down $1,000, like, how much of a deal is that? Whatever. So then, we go to the lunch date for some reason. I don't know, it actually just looks like the sun is setting, but whatever. And it's at a Vietnamese place, and so of course they play like very traditional Asian music. I was like, why? We don't need this. But so they have another it's a little less dry because now they have to seem like they're kind of flirting and getting to know each other. But honestly, do I remember of any of what they said during that? No, not at all. It was, oh my God, like if I were in either one of their places on that date, no, I'm leaving. I'm leaving after the date. We're not doing anything afterwards. We're not going anywhere else, doing nothing. We're not talking again. Heck, if I saw that date and I was in that rush, it's bad. But somehow it goes well. And they like hang out afterwards and go and they walk around. They see this tree, and this is the first time we ever get to see birds, but they're not like the evil birds. I'm pretty sure they're birds that wouldn't live in California. This is set in California. They almost look like they're tropical birds. It's terrible, guys. But it gets worse. And I think they go like to a club or something and they dance for a bit, and that looks terrible too. Like I wish I could insert pictures for all of this, but at that point I might as well be watching the movie with you and reacting as we go. So truly, if you guys want to experience this for yourselves, it's free online to watch. I don't think they could realistically charge people to watch this movie. It would be a crime. So then like he walks her to her house, and even though he to his friend was like, is sex all you ever think about? I'm not like that. I'm just trying to get to know her. He's like, so can I come up? And she's like, I'm not that kind of girl. Not on the first date. And I'm just kind of like, cool. You don't have to try and give them personalities. I don't care. Not at this point. Also, what was with Rod stating all that to his friend and then being like, so can't I come up? Like, okay, Rod. So then I don't know how many days later or how much later it is, but blonde girl calls her friend, and we get this just like random scene of these two people about to have sex. Like, it's just, it's so awkward the way it's filmed, and I don't actually remember if we even see blonde girl call first or if we just get the scene and then her on the phone. But it was just awkward, and I was like, what are we doing? And in the background, there's this like huge like random poster on the wall or sign. It doesn't even look like a poster, it looks like an actual sign. It's just white and in black text that says Imagine Peace. And it almost, I'm not sure, so don't quote this on me, it almost sounds like the music they put in the background for this odd scene where these two people are about to have like the most awkward sex. Is Imagine. Like, you know, imagine all the people. Like, it almost sounds like an offshoot of that, and it just made it even stranger. And I was like, wow, I'm uncomfortable. I'm not trying to imagine peace while I'm about to watch these people have awkward. Anyway, it's blonde girl calling her friend, and she's like, hey, I just met this guy. I want to go on a double date. And I'm like, wait, you just met him. Don't go on a double date. Like, I don't know how comfortable I'd be asking my friend to go on a double date with me and this boring, bland guy I just met, let alone if I was the friend. I'd be like, I don't really, I mean, if we're really close, yeah, because, like, I care about you, but you just met him. Do you really want to, like, show him off? Like, is he that great? But okay, sure. And it turns out, like, the boyfriend of her friend is Rod's friend, so ain't that just great? So then we see Rod's company gets sold, and I guess he's now just got, like, a crap ton of money. I don't really know how that works. They didn't really explain it too well. I still don't really know what Rod does. And their company, actually, is called NCT Software. So, you know. Yeah. Okay. So, now he's just got money. Yay. He goes on the double date with his friends, and the girl's wearing a shirt that matches the sign. It says Imagine Peace. And they come back from the movie. He talks about how the movie they saw was so good, and now he's thinking about getting an environmentally friendly car. And at this point, I'm like, okay, we are pushing an environmental agenda. Like, I was pretty sure that that's what was going to happen in this movie pretty early on. I mean, it was called Birdemic, but I thought, there's all kinds of movies about animals going crazy or Sharknadoes and stuff. So I was like, maybe it's not really environmental. But then, like, all the randoms, Imagine Peace, all the stuff on the news and everything, I was like, it's going to be an environmental problem. So it's probably going to push some environmental idea or solution or just, but it's wholly uninspiring. And I say that as someone who literally has been studying environmental science and sustainability for like 6 years, so 7, a long time. Blonde girl and Rod are on another date. They see a dead bird on the beach. So there's your foreshadowing of the horror side. And then I'm pretty sure we just skipped to him meeting her mom. Like, it hasn't, like, at first I thought maybe time had gone by. But then when she's like talking to her mom and everything, I had realized I don't think much time went by. Like, I think maybe it had been 2 weeks, maybe max. And she was like, time for you to meet my mom. And I was like, oh my God, if I, not even just like someone I was friends with before and then started like dating, but if somebody I was a complete stranger with before and I had started dating them for a month, there's no way I'd take them to meet my mom. Like, no way in hell. If they asked to meet my mom, I'm like, buddy, slow down. Like, I've known you for a month and I didn't even know you beforehand. So we had no basis or grounds for any sort of relationship. Like, we were just strangers and then started dating. I don't, no, stop. Because you know what's going to happen? In 2 more months, you're going to propose and that's not flying. So sit down. Like, no, you're not meeting my mom. But he does. And they go on another date and basically express that they find each other to basically be the one. So, most boring couple in history. They awkwardly dance alone in this restaurant and the dancing's terrible. It's awkward because they're the only ones dancing. Then, instead of going to either of their places, pretty sure they go to a motel in which we get sexy time. And not only is it just awkward to watch because of the way it's filmed, because this entire movie is filmed so strangely, but really got me is it's like panning down. They're on top of each other. She's like in lingerie and he's just chilling shirtless. It's like panning down and them like making out and stuff. We stop at their feet. Again, it always spends 8 years focusing on something. I noticed that her, the bottoms of her feet are black. Dirty. I actually, forced myself to watch the scene like 2 or 3 times just to make sure I wasn't like up in my head making more bad shit up about this movie. But no, her feet are dirty. Like, the color of this, like, disgusting. Disgusting! And I was just kind of like, did nobody while they were filming that point that out? Was nobody like, hey, go like wash your feet in a tub or the bathroom, or I don't know, but wash them? They were just dirty, and I was like, what? Like, why are your feet black? Like, no. If I ever brought someone home and I saw their feet were that nasty, maybe if I like you enough, I'm telling you to go to the bathroom and wash your feet. But honestly, get out of here. Why are your feet that disgusting? Like, no. You're not walking around. You're not getting, no. Get out of my house. Why are your feet disgusting? Like, what have you been doing? Like, how are you gonna go on a whole date with me and meet my mom? And your feet are disgusting for no, like, what? Like, I don't know, maybe, did they go to the beach that same day? I'm not even sure. If that was different days, it's all just blended together. But still, just wash your feet. What the? Sorry guys, it really gets me. And that's kind of the last bit of the romantic half of the movie before we get into the horror side. Like I said, it just cuts like that. And of course, right before the horror starts, it's the night they have sex. I was like, wow, of course. I'm just gonna eat a bit more before we get into the second half of the story. It's time to get into the most horrifying part of this movie, the birds. So, you know, they're sleeping at night, and as the sun is rising, we get shots of the area that they live in complete silence and peace before we get a PowerPoint fade to black. And then it's just birds and sirens and explosions, but it's done with the worst CGI possible. The worst. It seems like they took a 6-year-old who said animation or graphic design is my passion and just put them on the job, because it is. It's terrible. Blondie wakes up and she notices that there's a bird at the window trying to break in. So she wakes Rod up, and it's terrifying because the birds are trying to break in. So then they barricade themselves using the mattress. And they sit in there for a while, and I don't know if it's overnight or a couple hours, but they leave and they bang on some other motel doors. And also, he took her to a motel. Okay, anyway, some other motel doors. They get let in by some guy named Ramsey and his girlfriend Becky. And Ramsey's like, I've got a van outside. We should go to that. But we need to protect ourselves. So what do they decide to take out to protect themselves? Hangers. He's like, we need to protect ourselves. Let's use these hangers. So they go out with like their backs to each other because they're like, we need to protect ourselves in all directions. So they kind of get in like this diamond square formation. I don't really know. They don't really keep it too well. And they go out and they actually try to protect themselves with hangers. And it's terrible because when they get to the van, they're just standing there and they're like, oh, the birds are coming. And we see these terrible CGI birds fly in. And guys, when I say these are CGI birds, I don't mean like it looks like it's there with them CGI, like maybe kind of, you know, those old sci-fi movies that were bad. No, I mean it looks like if I tried to do CGI for you guys where it's very clearly just not part of this world, like it just looks like I pasted it over, like there's two distinct layers. That's what it looks like 2 distinct layers. Layer 1, layer 2 is the bird. It looks very bad. And what's more so is they don't really have much like movement or life to them. So they just kind of like flutter in place, and again, different layers, so it looks terrible. And they're just kind of swatting at them, and even swatting in directions where there's really no bird, and it's...
Shit, here they come!
Please just watch this movie. There's clearly no goodness in my heart. I know I mentioned that earlier, but I don't know how to explain how bad it is, guys. Like, you really just need to watch it on your own. But, so they get in the van, and Ramsey, for some reason, just has, like, a rifle in there. Like I don't know if it's semi-automatic or automatic, honestly, but he's just got a whole ass, like, military-grade gun in there, and then a handgun. And I was like, why are you just going around and stopping at motels with that, buddy? Like, that's just not normal. Like, truly, that's not normal. And I think it might be because he's in the military. He was in the military, which is something we touch on later. But like, even so, there's no need to carry that around in your car. Like, the handgun, okay, I understand. A lot of people have concealed carries. Like, the handgun was one thing, but the whole ass, like, I didn't really actually get a good look at the gun, so I'm just gonna go ahead and guess, like, AR-15. That doesn't need to just be in your van at, like, all times. Like, I don't... Okay. Okay, cool. So they're driving around, shooting at birds. Throughout this movie, apparently they have, like, an endless supply of ammo, because that's just how, you know, it works. They decide to stop on the side of the road to check for survivors, so they see some dead bodies. They find a girl who's under a car, and then a boy who was in a trunk. So I don't know if his parent tried to protect him and put him in the trunk, but he was in the trunk. They stop for food, get attacked by the birds, and then they run into this older man. And the older man's like telling them about the contamination, birds, and they're like, well, you know, old guy, you know, be careful, or aren't you scared of the birds? And he goes, no, it's not the birds I'm scared of. And I was like, oh, please no. Like, I knew where this was going because he's like a scientist and he studies birds and the environment. So he goes into this whole high school science class lecture about global warming and how global warming has caused like viruses like bird flu, West Nile, and SARS. And just talks about how bad global warming is and the things that it's caused. And so very clearly there is I was right. They're pushing an environmental agenda, and it's not the way to do it. Especially because, like, for real, he goes into like a lecture and they're just sitting there like, oh, wow. And I was just like, wow, this movie really did it for me. All these years of studying, but it was this movie. All those people who didn't believe global warming before, all those people who weren't sure, this movie, this guy, this message. Anyway, I'm gonna stop being as cringy as this movie, but it's really, the cringe is infecting me, I guess. Global warming. I shouldn't joke about global warming. It's a real thing, believe me, I study it, it's sad. So does this guy. Guy doesn't go with him, you know, after his speech about how we're the evil ones and global warming and everything, which is a whole other thing I'll get to in the end. Okay, so then while driving or stop, I don't even know, but Ramses, that's the guy, the ex-military guy, I guess he was a Marine, and Rod get into a talk, and you find out that he left the Marines because he killed so many damn people in Iraq, and he doesn't understand why we can't just give peace a chance. Which, like, it's not, like, a funny thing to actually laugh about. Like, truly, like, you know, why can't we have peace? And war's terrible. People die. But it's just the way it's delivered and the way this movie is trying to deliver these themes about being, you know, conscious of our environment and, you know, peace. It's just, it's terrible. It doesn't do its job well. Also, I'm pretty sure around this time, this woman, Becky, Ramsey's girlfriend, dies. And when Blondie's running back to tell them that she's been attacked by birds while they were out, Becky was literally trying to take a shit and got killed by birds. Nobody decided to, like, teach these people during the filming of this movie how to actually hold a gun, like, safely. Like, you know, don't just wave it around or point it at people when you're talking, but that's exactly what they do. They're like, oh my god, this person died, and I'm like, get the gun out of their face, you're gonna harm them. And that just happens throughout the whole movie, where they're just kind of just waving the gun around, pointing it while they're talking and stuff. And I'm like, wow, this is thoroughly unsafe. These people should not be holding guns. And you think the Marine guy would tell them, but no. So, good job, Marine boy. Sometime later, they see like this bus full of people getting attacked by birds, and Ramses decides to go and save them. And then when he gets in, none of the people want to be saved. They're like, no, I don't want to go out. I'm so scared of the birds. So then Ramses gets all these people outside, and as they're running up at the speed of nothing, even though the van was not parked that far away from the bus, they're straight up just walking to the car. I don't know why you wouldn't run. Birds come and attack them and splash acid on them or drop acid on them, which I don't know where the birds got acid. Or knew that acid would have this effect, or carried it, and then, but the birds dropped acid on them and they died. So watch out for birds, kids. They can drop acid on you. So then we just got like our two kids and, you know, Blondie and Rod. They need to stop for food and gas, in which we hit this gas station that is seemingly unaffected by what's going on, in which the guy at the cash register, who seems, you know, not worried about everything, he's just chilling there at his cash register. I'd be way gone by them. Way holed up. It charges them $100 per gallon, and they promptly pay the man $100 per gallon, and then on the side of the road they stop to help a man who then at gunpoint demands the extra gas they have in the back of the car, and then promptly gets killed by birds. So it was I don't know, maybe trying to show how people turn on each other during these times, but like it was so promptly just like over with. I was like, okay, cool. So then they decide to stop at a creek to fill up their water bottles for water, which they bought a lot of water. They shouldn't really need to be doing that by now, but maybe they're filling up the empty ones. But it seemed like they had a whole trash bag of them, so I really don't know how much time has gone by, or maybe the movie's just not keeping track of its facts. In which they run into some guy who lives in the woods, and we're getting ready for another science lecture. One of the kids is like, so you're like a tree hugger? And I love when people call me a tree hugger for studying environmental science and sustainability, but anyway.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Anyway, he goes into another science lecture about global warming. Like, we get another global warming lecture from a different guy, and he's talking about these trees that will die and how humans are causing this and everything. And I mean he's not wrong. It's so uncompelling in this movie. And then he hears a lion mountain, so they have to go their separate ways. And when they're trying to get out of the woods, for some reason a forest fire starts, and then we never hear about the forest fire again. Also, the fire looks terrible. Again, it's just like CGI put on top of the screen in different layers. They're out of food somehow, which I don't know how long it's been. Again, I don't know if they're just not keeping up with the facts that they've stopped for stuff, and I don't know why they're not getting more stuff at this point, especially because the first place they ever stopped, when like with the Ramses and Becky, I'm pretty sure there was nobody working there, so they just could have taken everything, but like they grabbed like a couple candy bars. And I was like, no, just take all the shit. Like, what are you doing? So he has to go fishing because magically there's just like stovetop and fishing rods in the back of the van. And they have to eat fish and seaweed. And one of the kids is like, I don't want to eat this. I want a Happy Meal. And I'm like, kid, I think you're old enough, smart enough to realize that you're in the apocalypse, so that's not an option. But they literally have like a little like pouting thing. And then we get to the end of the movie where they're in the car and they're getting attacked by way too many birds and they're preparing to die. Or if the birds break into the windshield. Then doves come and make the evil birds go away. And they're like, wow. So they get out of the car and all the evil birds are flying away. And they all walk down to the ocean front and stare out at the ocean. And Blondie says, I wonder why they stopped the attack. And that's the movie. That, my friends, was Birdemic Shock and Terror. Yeah, that's the movie, and that message, so deep. No, but speaking honestly, the themes in that movie are important and are very real, and if you are uneducated on them, or, you know, it's 2021, but if you still don't believe them in any way, I urge you to do some research, because they are very real. It's just the way the movie does it is just laughable, just very laughable, and the people that they randomly insert to give you like the TED Talk lectures, it's so cringy. It's so cringy, and they don't do it in a manner where it seems imperative to the story, woven into the story very well. No, it's just like you get like word vomit of it, and it's just not good. Also, this whole narrative that humans are evil and are the ones ruining this. Yes, we inflict negative consequences to the environment. That's a fact. You can track what we've done, whether that's through extinctions, carbon emissions that are causing global warming, all kinds of other things, deforestation, things like that. We can incur negative consequences onto the environment, but it's not to say that nature is going to be perfect without us. It's something I'm actually learning about right now in my classes. Sorry, this is turning into my personal TED Talk, but yeah, nature is not perfect without us, and we can actually help nature. So the whole the first science guy who's like, humans are the evil ones. They're the ones I'm scared of. I'm like, yes, we do bad shit. We cause harm, but it doesn't make nature inherently not evil. It doesn't mean nature's gonna be perfect without us. So that's just something to keep in mind. This movie is just a whole garbage. Like, it's just, it's such a dumpster fire from the CG. Like, the budget, sadly, I'm pretty sure most of that 10,000 went into the CGI and the music, which is so sad because the music isn't terrible. It's just used so weirdly. Like, it shouldn't be used in this movie or in these scenes. Like, the music can go be used somewhere else. Like, you can tell that's where the budget went. The budget didn't go to anything other than the CGI or the music because someone had to create that music. It's bad. I don't really know what else I can say. I urge you to watch it if you really want to understand what I personally just went through watching this movie. It's not good. But yeah, so that was the new Wendy's Popeyes. No, that would be a great crossover. The Wendy's jalapeno popper sandwich. It was good. I don't really know what to say much more about it. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad. So it was good. And that was the movie Birdemic, an environmental science major's dream. No, there are so many other movies you can watch if you want to watch something that drives home a message. I mean, I urge everyone to like sit down and try and find these films, or even just watch like a nature documentary. But this is not the one. This ain't it. So with that, thank you guys for watching, and until next time, bye.